And we change tack, we put the balls away and we start talking about athletics. And of course Tomás Griffin joins us again. It's amazing, Tomás, I mean, every time that we kind of catch up, it's amazing how much time goes apart from the last time we met, but the amount of events and I suppose sporting happenings and a whole lot. But it's been a good couple of weeks for Kerry athletes, both national and international.
Absolutely, Donald. Jam-packed since the last time we spoke. January the 30th, I think, was the last time we chatted. So there's been a lot on. Indoor athletics and a little bit of roads and some cross-country winding up as well. But before we get to that, I suppose a big thing for us in athletics is one of our volunteers is being recognised at a national level. So that's Jean Courtney. Jean is out of Killarney, does a lot of work with Killarney Valley AC, but also volunteers with the Kerry County Board and Munster Athletics as well. So what has happened for Jean is she's been selected by the Federation of Irish Sport and being acknowledged this coming week with other volunteers across the country for their work on a national level. They're getting a national award. So for Jean, that's a fantastic recognition of, I suppose, decades of work that will come after the award as well. So she's a lady that doesn't seek out accolades, but it's
it's an incredible award as well, and even a reward, I suppose, for the amount of, I suppose, unseen work that people do. I mean, and volunteers really build up all sports. I mean, athletics no special or no different, needing volunteers, and it's a great recognition, I suppose, at the end of the amount of time. And she's not retiring, she told me. We're also going to help her do a few kind of interview skills techniques, because I was speaking to her last night and she says she'd be far too nervous to do it, but I mean, they're the kind of people that are involved, aren't they? It's the nervous types that do nearly all the work at different stages. They're the people that collect the results, they're the people that open the gate and the whole lot, and we'd be lost without volunteers. Absolutely. So like a week and a half ago, Jean with one or two other volunteers was running the County Road Championships with the County Board. 2 nights before that she was coaching kids inside in Killarney Valley AC, and then during the week she would have been entering athletes for championships that were Munster championships and national championships. So tons of work going on where the people that are coaching couldn't be coaching without somebody in the background holding up all of the club structures and club governance, as well as a lot of the doing. So people like Jean doing that is fantastic when it's recognised, and the sport couldn't survive without it. Yeah, congratulations, Jean, well deserved. Now let's get running and let's get on the track maybe. Absolutely. So things that have happened since we last spoke. So February the 5th, the National Masters Championships was on in Athlone, indoor championships, and in Kerry there was quite a few performers and there was a lot of medalists. So just going to run quickly through those. You had from St. Brendan's AC, you had a number of people taking gold medals in race walking. So it's interesting to see that at Masters level in St. Brendan's AC in Artfert, they're putting in a lot of effort around the totality of the sport. So it ain't just about the juveniles, it's about involving people beyond the typical perceived level. So you had Serena Griffin took a gold medal in the women's 35, Arthur Novak in the men's 50, and David Kazan in the men's 65. So quite a demographic range, and also covering the genders as well there, which is very important around the inclusivity of athletics as a sport. You had from Riucht AC, Ger Crimmon, a man that we've mentioned before, won the gold medal in the men's 60 metre hurdles, and Mike Lynch, also from Riucht, took a silver medal in the men's 35-60. Just referring to Ger as well, Ger went out to the US a week and a half ago and he won the US Masters Championships. So it just shows you the level of performance that's going on across some of these performances, that it might be perceived as Masters athletics to be recreational. And that would be massively high level going to America to race it, because obviously while we're trying to be better here, I mean, America has really embraced the whole Masters culture and the whole lot, and he would be up against really good athletes. Absolutely, and there's a lot of former elites still involved in Masters athletics in Ireland and Europe and beyond. But in the States, for instance, a famous wide receiver in American football, a guy called Tyreek Hill, who was one of the fastest guys out of high school athletics, who's now playing American football. He raced in one of the younger categories in Masters athletics in the US. So that's the standard that needs to be achieved. He ran 6.70 seconds for 60 metres, which is incredibly fast. So that's Ger, in a way, performing well and still keeping the standard high. From Tralee Harriers in the Masters, Patsy O'Connor, a man who I know you'd know very, very well. He's thrown shot put, javelin, discus through the decades, and he's had to build a second house for the amount of prizes he's won. Well, his son Alan is after entering the Masters category as well. So not only did Patsy medal, but Alan also, his first year in Masters athletics, men's 35, he took a silver medal in the men's 35 shot put. So it's great to see the legacy continuing, and those guys are doing great coaching in the sport as well. From Killarney Valley, you had Alan Delaney in the men's 40 high jump. Alan is a former elite high jumper, still ranked in the top 10 all time high jump, 211
even personal best. So Alan has come back into the sport and is coaching also on a local level. So he's showing the younger athletes also how it's done and still jumping great heights. From Kinmare, you had Vincent White. He took medals in both the men's 45 high jump and long jump as well. So a wide range of events happening for the Masters on February the 5th. Then we progress on, I suppose, to the next thing that happened. The next thing that happened was February the 12th, the Munster Senior Indoor Championships happened, and that was happening in advance of the National Senior Championships that we'll refer to. So in the Munster Seniors, you had a big name in athletics, David Kenny, who we've spoken about many times, Olympian. David Kenny from Farnformain Valley, not only did he win the gold medal in the Munster Championships, but he also broke the national record for the 5k indoor walk. So to put it in perspective, the holder of that record was Rob Heffernan, who is an Olympian and who is David's coach now. The record that he did was 18 minutes 42 seconds, and the 5k outdoor record, European record, is 19 minutes. So David Kenny went faster than the European record indoors, which is harder than outdoors. So what an unbelievable performance. And for race walking, there's now kids in Kerry starting to come back into race walking through clubs that are developing it. So the likes of David, I suppose, taking up the mantle from other previous greats from Killarney. For instance, you have Gillian O'Sullivan, who won a World Championships medal many, many years ago, representing Farnformain Valley. So look, there's a great tradition in Kerry, so hopefully that's going to reignite. In the sprints, in the senior athletics, Listowel Athletics, we've spoken about Listowel. They have a good culture building where they've got older teens. We spoke to Megan Lynch, for instance, a couple of shows back. More of them coming out of the woodwork. Not only did Megan Lynch take a silver medal in the senior ladies 60 metres, but a younger athlete, Saoirse Dillon, who I think has just turned 16, she took the bronze medal in the senior ladies 60 metre sprint. Not only is the girls doing it, but the men's 200 metres senior, first, second and third were all Listowel AC athletes. So again, something very positive happening there from a sprints point of view. 400 metres, your two sisters, Emma and Rachel Nealon, gold and silver 400 metres, both out of Listowel AC as well. So fantastic to see it. The 200 metre guys I referenced, Brendan O'Leary, Johnny O'Sullivan and Louis O'Connell, first, second and third. They also then teamed up with another athlete, Sean O'Mahony, and they won the senior men's 4x200 metre relay title. So, you know, again, lots of things happening in pockets across Kerry. In the senior ladies athletics, then long jump, Ciara Kennelly from Killarney, normally a high jumper, has been dabbling with long jump. She won the senior ladies long jump in a massive jump of 5 metres 69. So interesting to see what Ciara's going to do if she continues this experiment with long jump. 5.69 would definitely challenge for medals at senior ladies level long jump. So maybe she can double up on that in future. So it's great to see how that involves. Dara Looney, Killarney Valley AC, won the senior men's long jump, and Ty Galvin from Killarney Valley AC won the senior men's 400 metres as well. So again, lots of clubs being spoken about there and lots of geographies in Kerry. Tralee, which has had a fantastic history in athletics. An interesting name that popped up in the results was Jack Morgan. Jack Morgan is a guy that did athletics in his younger days. I think he played football at a reasonably high level with Austin Stacks, I think.
Kerry Minor,
yeah. So he's now in his mid-20s. Interesting to see him popping up in athletics again. I suppose one of his first loves. He took a silver medal in the senior men's 60 metres in a really good time of 7.26 seconds. So he's back doing some sort of training in athletics. So we're going to be watching closely to see what evolves there, you know. So shows you that there can be a great crossover between the sports. If there was a way of managing the seasons and helping the athletes be dual sport athletes. Looking at other sports in the world where that's done very well, for instance, the Super Bowl in American football, which was on only in the past couple of weeks, you had a wide receiver from the Philadelphia Eagles. His name is Devin Allen. Devin Allen also represented his country, the USA, in 110 metre hurdles in the World Championships. So in that sport, they're allowing people to do two sports. So again, I wonder, I suppose, I know this is a GAA show, but is this something that we could be more collaborative at in figuring out how to facilitate that? So but let's watch this space and see what happens there. So that was the Munster Seniors. Then moving on to the big showcase is the Indoor Senior Athletics Championships that happened on the 19th of February, 19th and 20th. It happens over a weekend. It's obviously televised, so hopefully listeners saw it on TV. You had 6 Kerry athletes competing at senior level in the National Senior Championships. So centre stage, and one of the most high profile ones was the ladies 60 metre sprint, where Sarah Leahy, who again we've spoken to on this show previously, Sarah from Killarney Valley AC won the gold medal in the ladies 60 metres.
And very impressively too.
The time that was run, 7.30 seconds. So we love to kind of I suppose for your listeners, that wouldn't be necessarily all athletics people, to put it in context, right? So Sarah's average speed during that 60 metres was 30 kilometres an hour. Sarah's maximum speed hit at the 40 metre point was 35 kilometres an hour. And it's not just Sarah, the girls around her who were all...
And that's from a standing start, like.
Oh, and when you see that live, it's very, very impressive. So that was a massive achievement.
Just to give listeners a view, I suppose you come in, you watch a race, it's 7 seconds, it's all over and the whole lot. I mean, the amount of training that goes in to get that perfect 7.64 or whatever it was, I mean, it's hours and hours and hours and hours doing possibly the same thing all over again.
Absolutely. Like to any sprint race, there's 5 phases to it. So there's 5 different things that need to be rehearsed outside of the strength and conditioning and all that other stuff that goes on. So, it's over in 7 seconds. You get one of those 5 things wrong, game over, on to the next race. So I suppose that's the beauty of athletics then, is that you can probably analyse down within those 5 phases the part that's your weakness, and then decide, am I working on my strengths or am I working on my weakness, or am I going to try and work on everything? So lots of life lessons from the sport then, where sometimes you need to reflect and analyse and then go back to the drawing board. So, 7 seconds doesn't give you a lot of thinking space. So again, that's where the coaches come into play. Coaches being able to give feedback back to the athletes around what they observed and working from there and working as a team. Mm-hmm. So the other athletes that would have competed at senior level was David Kenny. David Kenny won the gold medal in the race walk again, up against a field that contained top class guys that are at world championship level. So again, race walking at a very, very high standard. Ciara Kennelly from Killarney Valley AC took a bronze medal in the senior ladies high jump. So out of the 6 competitors, Kerry taking 3 medals, which is fantastic. Remember, this is the showcase.
The elite of the elite.
The elite. The other athletes that competed was Basit Oyabanji and Killian Griffin, both sprinters from Tralee Harriers. Both guys in the sport a long time. Both of them ran quick times, but again, when you're up against the likes of Israel Olatunde, who your listeners have seen on TV, you need to be probably at European World Championship level. Basit and Killian are both 11 second or sub 11 second 100 metre sprinters. Right? Killian ran 6.80 seconds for 60 metres a week after the national championships. Kilometres per hour wise, those guys are touching 40 kilometres an hour. So incredible to see that and to know that there's athletes like these guys from Kerry involved in the sport and in their 20s now. Darragh O'Leary from Killarney Valley AC was the sole distance runner from Kerry in the sport. He did the 3,000 metres. He got a PB of just over 9 minutes. So again, Kerry was covering all the various disciplines there, and again, male and female. So fantastic to see that and be able to see the clubs supporting their athletes and achieving that stuff out of Kerry.
And of course, it's great to see, I suppose, the vest that says your club on the main screen as well, when it goes up with all the Dublin clubs and the Galways and the Donegal clubs and the whole lot. I mean, the pride alone there. But then, like you said, to go, and it's not good enough anymore for Kerry people just to want to be there. They want to win. They're getting on the podium. I mean, 3 of those 6 brought home medals. I mean, there were 3 that didn't, obviously. They were all in the mix as well. So it's not. We've gone past the age of Kerry people just wanting to get to finals now. We want to compete. We want to win, and that's healthy.
Absolutely, that, and this is the culture within the clubs now at this stage. The technology has moved on, facilities have moved on. So, moving beyond the local championships and knowing that, you're entitled to be there in the big championships in these super stadiums that we've available now in Ireland between Athlone and the NIA in Dublin. These stadiums you wouldn't get any place else in Europe. So there are no excuses. So the athletes aren't using excuses, which is fantastic to see. Mm-hmm. And again, the younger kids aspiring to do this. So in athletics in Kerry at the moment, there's 1,361 members registered. So that's a lot participating in the sport. It's like a triangle, I suppose, Donald, when you look at it. The base is big and the base is full of kids. So those 1,361 members, 916 of them at the moment are kids that are juveniles. Juveniles are 8-year-olds to 15-year-olds. So we don't have a problem in the sport of getting kids into it. The challenges kick off, though, from age 15, 16 up to age 19, where exams, other activities, all this sort of stuff is a challenge. So there's 81 kids registered in that age group out of that 1,361 in that age group. So that's where we need to focus our attention in the sport, and that's where we try to work the retention piece. Generally, when kids are involved at that age, they're probably, really showing talent. Mm-hmm. But we definitely need more kids participating in the sport in that age group. At senior level, there's 48 registered senior athletes. They'd be age 20 up to age 34. again, we need to grow that base. Masters athletes are 316 and growing. So we're growing at juvenile, we're growing at masters. The squeeze middle, which is really where we should be focusing our attention, and that's the purpose of this show, is providing a spotlight onto the achievements of those athletes in that age group. Hopefully we get more in and we figure out ways of collaborating as well with other sports, that there's talent everywhere and maybe we can help each other out.
Mm-hmm, absolutely. We'll talk a bit more about that in a while as well, Tomas. It's amazing. 48 senior athletes, 81. The 81 number is something that would jump out at me. I mean, I suppose every sport has a problem kind of retaining, I suppose, people at a certain age within the sport, and like you said, you have pressures of exams and all other sorts of things going. Does that mean that your 1361 must be an awful lot bigger to keep people in, or are they falling out otherwise?
Yeah, I suppose number one, can the clubs cope with more? Can the clubs cope with more than 1361? So getting coaches on board is a challenge. So, but yeah, realistically, you would need more participating and enjoying it. And maybe more local competitions to give, new people coming to the sport that it's not the Munster Championships they need to be going to experience competition. Maybe we can do more locally. But I think figuring out ways of involving a team element in what's viewed as being an individual sport. So, for instance, relay teams. There are 3 relay teams going to be competing next weekend from Kerry in the National 4x200 Relay Championships. So those teams are out of Farnfore Main Valley. You've got an under-15 boys team competing in a 4x200. That's Conor McCarthy, Kevin O'Shea, Isaac Vickers, Ryan Vickers. I was just talking to their coach half an hour ago about trying to collaborate with them and help them out with a bit of training in our facility in Killarney. So great to see that. Hopefully that will retain those guys in the sport. There's a girls under-17 team from Listowel AC. Saoirse Dillon, who we mentioned, Tally Collins, a long jumper who's experimenting with sprinting, Emma Nealon, who we mentioned, and Molly O'Riordan. They're in the under-17 girls 4x200. And then from Killarney Valley, the under-19 boys, there is a team which has Jason O'Reilly, Cian O'Brien, Ty Galvin, Oisin Lynch. So 2 internationals in that team. And, those teams are competing against Dundrum, South Dublin, Lee Vale, competing against the biggest clubs in the country. I'd say out of those 3 teams I just mentioned, we'll probably have 2 teams meddling at a national level, if not 3.
Geez, you're more positive than James McCarthy is. We better keep you. Come here, we have to take a break though, and after the break we'll talk to Olivia Scully-Henny and we'll keep talking to Tomas as well.
Terrace Talk on Radio Kerry, brought to you in association with Meadowlands Hotel Tralee, where being local means coming home.
Yeah, listen to Terrace Talk on here until 8 o'clock this evening with Donald Barry. We're talking athletics, and we're talking all athletics. Kerry, of course, with Tomas Griffin. We do it regularly enough at the moment. A new face on the scene, of course, is Olivia Scully-Henny. She is the new athletic development officer, I suppose, providing assistance to clubs, I suppose, or maybe she might even tell me herself what the role is. She's the Regional Development Officer, and congratulations, Olivia, on your new role. Since you've got appointed to your new role, have you got a greater understanding, or have you got more of an understanding of the role, or is it a role that keeps just developing each time that you go to Ennis and Tralee and Clonakilty and the whole lot?
Well, I'm actually only in the role 5 weeks, Donald. Thanks a million for having me on your grade, and I'm delighted to be here. I see Kerry as a second home for me, having spent all my summers there growing up as a child. It's definitely a role that can throw anything at you. It's a role that's fluid, and it's covering all athletics. It's covering athletics from a participation side to a performance development side. So it's a wide role to cover, and not just the RDO for Kerry. I'm also looking after Cork, Clare and Limerick. So there is a lot that entails in it. But as Tomas said there in his talk, there's so much talent in Kerry at the moment. It's absolutely fantastic, and it's fantastic achievement for Jean as well to achieve the Volunteer Award of the Year. It's not given to every county, so it's a huge achievement for Kerry to receive that. And the facilities as well in Kerry, it's something to be very proud of. At the moment in Limerick and Cork, we're without high jump gear, for example. So in Kerry, you have 2. You have there in Castle Island and in Killarney. In Limerick, we don't even have field events. We have no throwing. We have no javelin, discus, hammer, no pole vault. So you have an awful lot to be proud of there in Kerry. And it was very interesting to hear. I listened in as well to hear the hurling commentary, and they were talking about fluidity, and they were talking about not being on form for match play. What's interesting to me, what I love and passionate about athletics, I think when you come from a family that's steeped in athletics history, it's in your blood. And when you look at the GAA, when it was founded back in 1884, it was founded as the Gaelic Athletic Association.
The late Jerry Kiernan would be very proud of you. It was his argument for life, I'd say.
Yes, and the crux of it is, when it was first founded, it was for the accessibility to the masses for athletics, and also to revive and nurture our Indigenous sports. And for me, and I will get into any argument with anybody, athletics to me is the oldest sport, because I can guarantee you that the cavemen, when they were sitting around, they said to each other, "I'll race you to that rock." Right. And also what's fascinating as well is one of the closest chances for Kerry to come to an Olympic medal was back in 1932 Los Angeles Olympic Games. Eamon Fitzgerald from Daniel, he jumped 15:01 metres to come fourth in the triple jump. He was just 11 centimetres off coming third. But what I find really almost funny about this is Willie Banks, the former record holder for the triple jump. I heard an interview from him just recently enough, and he was talking about the origins of the triple jump, and he said it originated in Ireland, and it originated as a drinking game. So athletics is very old. It's definitely the foundation to all sport. That's the message I'd like to bring out, to remind people of the importance of athletics. Like, therefore, when you're listening to your other speakers there about fluidity, how to, and periodization of training plans, how to peak, how to hold performance, agility, speed, explosive speed. Tomas touched on it there about how the in-depth detail athletic coaches go to break down movement, the biomechanics of movement, the fluidity of movement, how to peak, improve performance. These things you get from a coach. You can study these things as some in college, but to really get it from the cutting edge of performance, you're best going to the source. The source is the coach. Athletics is pioneering. Just last week we lost one of the great pioneers. My event was the high jump. My love is the high jump, and we lost the great Dick Fosbury. And Dick Fosbury, as you may know, he invented the Fosbury flop. That did not come from science. That did not come from university. That came from him intuitively knowing how to jump, intuitively knowing that his hips needed to go higher. How could he get it higher? He was not a good high jumper. He wasn't even making the college team, and he went on to win the Olympics and set world records. And
it must have been very brave, just touching on that for a second. I mean, obviously 10 people who are doing it one way, he done it another way. I presume at the time it was a very brave move even on his behalf to do something like that.
Completely, and that he didn't even have at that time. He was jumping into straw. Everyone else was doing the straddle or the western roll, and he was jumping into straw. And when people were laughing at him in the beginning, but then they stopped laughing when they saw that it was working for him, that he did win the Olympics. And it was the quickest conversion then for everyone to adapt his modality. And now nobody uses the western roll or the straddle anymore. It is the Fosbury flop, and it's 2 meters 45. Javier Sotomayor set that back in the 80s. So, yeah, it is.
Olivia, I tell you, you're not a long distance runner because you're flying through it here, and the clock is killing us. Come here very quickly before we wrap up on it. Athletics, if I'm at home tonight and I want to join a club, where do I go? How do I do it? Do I look at the newspaper? Do I find and basically the support that you provide for athletic clubs? I presume it's a whole lot of kind of coaching and delivering education and all that, is it?
Yeah, 100%. And what I would say to anyone, athletics has something for everybody in the audience, literally. So as Tomas was saying there, we have a lot for juveniles, we have a lot for masters, from 5 to 105. And then there, as I always say, there's an event for everybody. And track and field alone, we have over 30 events. That's not including the road, that's not including cross country. So if there's quite a few areas in Kerry at the moment that don't have an athletics club, that have a large population. Say for Dingle, for example. So if you're thinking of setting up even participation, Keep Fit for Life, Couch to 5K, if you enjoy running or getting fit, athleticsIreland.ie. Go onto our website and you can contact us through our website. and you need 10 members to set up a club. If you want to set up a club, if you want to join a club, go onto our website, athleticsIreland.ie, and go into find a club, and there you'll get a list of clubs in your county, and you can contact those clubs directly. Equally, anybody listening can contact me as well. I'd also love to say too what Tomas threw in there about volunteers. In athletics, we have an open arm policy. We need volunteers, whether that be coaching, whether that be assisting on committees and running clubs, whether that be if you don't even have enough time to come along and support as a volunteer at officiating at competitions. It's the best way to give back. It's absolutely fantastic. And also for mature athletes, people who are aging, it's not just there about long distance running. As we age, the first thing we lose is our strength, our mobility. So in athletics, we have other events as well that can focus on improving your strength and mobility, be that throws, be that jumps. So there's something there for everybody.
Fair play to you. All wrapped up there fairly quickly. Olivia, listen, we'll have to chat another time. We'll have to put you on early in the show, to be honest with you, because
I'll take an hour.
I'll take an hour. We'll put you in with James McCarthy here, because he's made to run very fast as well. Come here, listen, thanks very much for joining us this evening. It won't be the last time you'll talk to us, I promise you that. Poor old Tomas here, he put on the suit and everything tonight, and now he's about 10 seconds to say goodbye to me. But listen, it was enjoyable to talk, and you're dead right. Jerry Kieran has always made that argument that GA was an athletic association. He was still proud of his county championship medal that he won with Field Rangers as well at minor level, but running was certainly his first sport, and we certainly miss him all the time. Olivia, thanks very much for joining us this evening. Tomas, very, very quickly, we're in the last 20 seconds a lot. A couple of events to look forward to? Yeah,
things coming up. World Masters Indoor Athletics Championships are on in Turun, Poland. There's one or two Kerry guys competing out there, kicking off next weekend. Juvenile National Indoors is kicking off with relays next weekend, I mentioned. Locally, the Kerry Sports Hall Games for all the youngsters is kicking off over in Killorglin, so lots happening in the next few weeks.
Fair pleasure, yeah, absolutely. I think I might even have a young fella once because of that as well, if you can find the time and date for him. Listen, thanks very much for joining us tonight, Tomas, and keeping us up to date. Olivia Scully Henny as well, our hurling pundits, James McCarthy, Richard Foran, Dan Carney, of course, with the ladies, and earlier we had Dinny Long, and of course John Kennedy. Up next is Mary. Is Mary there? I haven't seen her in a long time. Mary talks us.